We get asked all the time, when's the next season of Rust Valley coming out?
It started.
There we go. Pretty awesome because we finally get to tell the story about the Roadster.
We have been keeping that.
Totally quiet. Now we get to let the cat out of the bag. So today's episode is the autobiography
of our little Roadster.
I love that car.
Oh, the places we will go.
Oh man. So the nuts and the bolts of it are that we got offered to do a little bit more television with Mike and Avery, which we always love. Those guys are fun, hey?
Yeah.
They're funny, they're fun. It's always a good vibe hanging out with those guys and doing a little bit of television. The complications that come with doing television, you guys may not know this, but it's very expensive. So on our side of it, we don't get paid. We get a little bit of seed money for parts or something like that, but it's never enough to cover the cost of a car. It's never enough to cover even the cost of the disturbance in the shop. So we play along because we do enjoy it. We know you guys enjoy it, so we built this super cool Roadster.
Can I say a hats off to the camera guys?
The camera crew, the Rust Valley.
The Rust Valley camera crew. So. Yeah, they're a pretty awesome group of guys. They're always the ones behind the camera and making everybody else look good
And feel at home.
And they're so fun. They're just such nice guys.
I really didn't feel like doing another one of those episodes and just sort of getting tossed around and getting beat up. Because if you're a real fan of JF Customs and you're a fan of what Teresa and I do, you know that we get beat up pretty bad.
Well, you're the villain.
Yeah, they made me a villain because we went racing and we like to win. Yeah. Why would you want to lose if you're going to go racing?
Yeah, so they made you always look like you're an asshole. He's not an asshole. He's actually a really nice guy. You said, why does everybody think that you're an asshole?
Yeah. Why does everybody think that I'm an asshole? I'm not really that much of an asshole.
Yeah.
Fixed everybody else's cars at the races to make sure that we could all race and have fun together. Yeah. We also built the fastest car because we know how to do that and we love it. Anyways, that aside. So because I didn't feel like being a villain on television anymore, I said the only thing I was willing to do is build a car that I've always wanted to build. My mentor of my whole automotive life is a guy by the name of Kenny Helm. You'll see him on the episode, or you've already seen the episode and you've seen him. But what an absolute beautiful human being. And I wanted to take some of his knowledge and some of his parts, and I wanted to combine something really, really special that I would have for the rest of my life. Unbeknownst to me, what develops in the show is that not only do I bring my mentor in with me to build one of my favorite cars in the world.
You got to mentor.
I got to be a mentor.
Yeah.
My son Calvin and my cousin David were absolutely instrumental in helping me build the car. We ended up having wonderful automotive journeys with the car.
Yeah, it was fun. We all worked on it. We all did a huge part of it. You got to pick out the color, of course, always.
Yeah, the really crappy color that looks like diarrhea.
We called it Danny's dirty diaper.
You open a bad diaper and it's like, oh, that can't be good.
I originally wanted...
It looks good with orange interior though.
I know. I originally wanted cocky brown. Well, no, cockney brown. I thought it was called cocky brown, but...
Maybe for your own car, you could save that for the Speedster.
Yeah, there's an idea. Okay.
Back on board, but here it comes. Here's the behind the scenes, why we built it, the stuff they don't show you on television because they only have a certain amount of time to show you, and why it's near and dear to our hearts. Hope you like it. Thanks, guys. Lots of Roadsters or open top cars, and we started calling them the ice cream cars. We had ice cream car 1, we had ice cream car 2.0. So we realized we love open cars. Building one that was really our taste and built from scratch was always in my head, but I didn't know I was going to do it till about this time last year. So we pushed through in a matter of months. We had my mentor Ken Helm, and my son, and my nephew David, and they all participated in the build. So part of the crazy story with that car is that my buddy Kenny Helm actually gave me a whole bunch of 348s and 409s, and we all know how precious they are. Well, Calvin had already built or prepared a 409 to absolute show standards for my Acadian. Pontiac Acadian, Pontiac, you'll see that later. And we decided the motor was so good that we had a chance at Grand National Roadster Show to maybe make it in the AMBR contention because we had a fully detailed engine. How long could it possibly take to fully detail a Model A? For 30 years I've known Ken, and he really was one of the biggest inspirations for me to want a show car. He always had this black and white picture in his shop of his Model A all sitting crooked at a show on carpet. If you know what we do around here, you know that we've done that and beyond, but he really is one of the key people that made me do that. He also has followed me to Detroit. He's followed me to Grand National Roadster Show. He's followed me to every show that I've gone to almost. So he's been around the block. He's been down these road trips, and we were really, really happy to have him and his wife join us this time. It got brought to light because Modern Rodding did an amazing video to cover the car, and I want to share bits of that video with you and just walk you through a bit more detail on what we had to go through to build the car. Again, a huge thank you to Modern Rodding. We love the video you guys put together.
And we're here at the Grand National Roadster Show at the Pomona Fairplex in Pomona, California. And we're amongst all of the cars that are competing for the AMBR. Right now we're standing in front of this nice little Model A Highboy that was built by JF, who is a Canadian boy, an amazing builder. He's built Riddler winners, he's built all kinds of great cars, and we're particularly fond of this little one. We had the opportunity during the judging phase to go behind the scenes and listen to him tell us about this build.
So the car is called Blue Collar. It was a collaboration of me and my mentor, and it says in the book who my mentor is. He's a neat old guy that up there in Canada where we're at, we don't have a lot of car culture like you guys do down here. So you kind of find the right people that become your mentors, and he's always sort of mentored me. I have never built a car pre-1950. So this is my first car that I built that's pre-1950. I struggled with it for a long, long time because my friends were putting together really cool hot rods. They were traditional, they looked right. We've been to this show probably dozens of times, and I was always worried that I'd screw up building a traditional car in Southern California. My tastes are typically different, and I think you can see that a little bit here. But the idea was, this is a car that I hope inspires young people to be in either the trade or in the hobby, and through the process I went from my mentor helping me build the car to my son and my nephew both being a huge part of the build, which now has mentored them. It's a car that should look simple, understated, and yet the details are still there as a show car. In essence, we've just tried to make everything really, really, really nice. But it's not a checkbook car, and it's not a, it's not a credit card car. It's a car that, if in essence, blue collar means you went to the wrecking yard in 1962 and you found the hottest motor that was sitting in a Canadian wrecking yard. You found a simple little Model A instead of a 32 because you couldn't afford a 32. You put it on Duece rails and put together a super fun car that you go drag racing on the weekends, maybe take it land speed racing, whatever your heart desired. This car should be able to do that. For me, it's probably going to be an ice cream car. We've got some grandkids that I'm going to tour around in it, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart. The body's just been slightly channeled over the rails so that it fits kind of seamlessly over the rails. Steel wheels were really important to me on this car because I didn't want to make it look overstated on that portion of it, and yet we have triple painted those wheels. Like, we painted them once, sanded them flat, repainted them again. You know how that it always just gets, the black gets deeper the more you do it. We chose this differential specifically so it would have that old school look of the tapered axles, and then we took all the tapered axle nut stuff, exposed it, and polished the piss out of it just to make it have still a really nice finish to it. Really wanted a rumble seat car for the grandkids, so that was super important to me in this build. My son calls it the Dr. Seuss car. He's like, think of the places we'll go. I'm like, yes, the places we'll go. To play with the Pontiac theme, they put 409s in 62, 63, like the big, because we didn't have a big block up there. So they would go through the Canadian assembly line with a Chevrolet chassis, Pontiac body, and they would still have a Chevrolet drivetrain in them. So that's why we kind of played on that for sure. I made sure that I found just a rustic old Pontiac shifter and just made sure that you really get the essence that it just came from a wrecking yard, and you just pull all the drivetrain in, you put it in your hot rod, and you go racing on Friday. Something you guys might not know, even though you've been in the industry forever, Canadian Model A's were actually put together with Robertson screws.
Oh yeah.
Which
I
is
had
the
a Fayette.
yeah.
I had a
So-
I had a Canadian 29 Fayette.
So we worked really, really hard that anything that kind of attached to the body, we went out of our way to find the right fasteners to try to keep that little bit of heritage that we're bringing to the table. This is an original body, so anybody that here that's a builder and worked with sheet metal knows that these are not fun to play with. Right?
Depends on what you're looking
Oh man. So some of the stuff I learned when I was doing the car, I didn't know what to do about height placement for my headlights and stuff like that. And my mentor, again, he said, well, why don't you just make it out of the original headlight bar? And so those are just original headlight bars. You know, they're not Speedway ones. They're just like, go get the heat and just pry bar them around until they fit right and look right.
Demerits.
Yeah, for sure.
Speedway product manager.
you already checked off your list of which stuff I did get from you, though.
Yeah,
You're like, ka-tink, ka-tink, ka-tink. Yeah, we're okay there. Yeah. My son actually did all the grinding on the motor. He was at it for a month and a half straight. Yeah, so you'll see those are actual factory 409 exhaust manifolds. So they're GM cast manifolds that have got a week's worth of grinding into each of them. The water pump's gotten the same treatment. The heads to the block have got a really nice treatment. The intake manifold to the heads has that treatment. The thermostat housing to the intake has that same kind of treatment.
Even the specialty spark plug wire supports are in new spots so that you can actually read the Pontiac logo without it being messed up. You can see how much work went into the fuel lines. We took brand new polished carburetors, took them apart and polished them some more.
And speaking of those Pontiac valve covers, we're going to be a little out of sync here and show you a video we did about a year ago on how we made them. I think you're really going to enjoy that. I am working on a super cool project. It is all about building a really unique engine for our AMBR contender. I'm basically building a full Pontiac 409. In Canada, they actually put 409s in Pontiacs. Some of you might not know that, but they were never labeled. So they were just a Chevrolet engine stuffed in a Pontiac chassis. So we've got our stamps, and I am going to press the logo into this valve cover. It's kind of interesting because we had intended on taking the 409 back out of the car after the show, and now I just don't have the heart to do it. We're going to leave it in the car. It's just become part of the car and I'm too emotionally attached to it. I'm finally part of that group that's built a really cool bi-supply car. I never really fit in as a custom car builder, and if you look that up, you'll know what I mean. Custom car guys cut cars up to give them a new presence. That's what we're known for. Traditional hot rod guys don't like to see anything but stuff you'd only find back in the day, and it was a really interesting journey, and I'm super pleased to have this car. So now that it's starting to snow in Canada, oh, the places we've gone this summer with that car. Just like every other JF Customs car we've ever built, we drove this car hard. It's been laying rubber almost every time I drive it. We've been to Grand National, we went to Good Guys. We've actually gotten 2 magazine features, which is super crazy. Modern Rodding says they do want to feature it, which I'm really excited about. We've used it as a daily driver. We've driven it in rush hour traffic in LA. Calvin's taken it out on dates. We've done donuts in it. And we're not done yet. We still got a Duece days coming up in the next year or two. We want to drive it a lot more in Southern California. Likely that we would do something like the Power Tour. It's just the right car to just go on any sort of road trip. The car is literally like driving a time machine. It is tight, it drives very well, but you know you're in an old car. It's got bi-supply tires, and when we were street racing it this summer, it was really a handful. I don't think it's safe. It feels like it's probably weighs about the same as a large motorcycle. Should probably be wearing a helmet. No seat belts, obviously, because I don't know, if you crash it, maybe you just fly out.
So Blue Collar was really a car about mentorship. It was hoping not my last time to have some fun with one of my dudes that really has taken care of me over the years. He's inspired me. I built a car in his honor, got to enjoy it with him, which is super cool.
Get yourself back in the era where if you were going out somewhere, you're riding on a horse, or if your family had a wagon, 2 or 3 seater, or the whole family is going to town, it would be quite an ordeal to get the horse hooked up to the wagon and get yourself loaded up, and it'd be a long bouncy trip. Along comes something like this, and quite a change in the way the world works. I go in my horse and buggy or take my new fangled automobile. So that was the magic of Ford, is he cut the price down so low that even his workers could afford one. So they got this down as low as $260. And at that time, Ford was paying his workers $5 a day. So that kind of puts things in perspective.
My son and my nephew both got to enjoy the car with us this summer, and I'm hoping they get it. I'm hoping now they realize that you don't have to have a big pile of money to build a car. You just have to work hard at it. The car isn't very expensive as far as parts are concerned. It's very shiny and it's very interesting because we put in a lot of hours. So anybody on the planet should be able to go and just go find some used parts, learn some skills. If you don't have all the skills, then don't paint the car right away. If you don't have the skills, then you don't need a fancy upholstery right away. You might not even need a great big horsepower motor right away. But put in the effort and don't look for excuses not to be a hot rodder. This car is living proof of that.